Good evening, folks. I'd like to call the Planning Board meeting of September 4th, 2025 to order. Introduce Planning Board members and staff. To my far right, Steve Yost, Sean Henry, Doug Cook, our Vice Chair, Jane Ramson. I'm Rick Noonan, the Chair. To my immediate left is our now Senior Planner, Eric, and then David Rose. First under the agenda this evening is an A&R plan submitted by Cupboard of Gloucester LLC, care of Mark Glovsky Esquire, to divide 41 Host Ave, Assessors Map 216, Lot 75. Glovsky, the floor is yours. Just name and address for the record.
My name is Mark Glovsky.
You need to speak right into the microphone, Mark. You can pull it around or use it by hand. Thank you.
My name is Mark Glovsky. I'm a lawyer with offices at 8 Washington Street in Beverly. I'm here tonight with Cynthia Carter, who is the president of Cupboard of Gloucester, Inc. And she has owned the property at 41 Howe since 1961. The Carter family operated the Cupboard restaurant continuously until a couple of years ago. It's been closed for the last 2 seasons. At this point, what we're proposing is the division of the property, which is 41 Howe, into 2 lots. The property's in an R20 zoning district. It currently is 50,000 square feet in total. It's map 216, lot 75. And what you can see from the plan before you is a proposal to create lots 1 and 2. Lot 1 will have 20,510 square feet of land with approximately 141 feet of frontage on Georgia Way. And Lot 2, which contains the Cupboard restaurant building, would have 12,585 square feet with 215 feet of frontage on Georgia Way. Per the engineer's office, Lot 1 would be designated as 6 Georgia Way, and Lot 2 would be 41 Howe Avenue. The thing that's unusual about this application is that it's based on the fact that the way was in existence prior to the advent of subdivision control in the city of Gloucester, which was December 8th, 1960. I received an email from Greg Catamatori moments ago suggesting that we would maybe need some evidence to establish the fact that it was a way in existence. Mrs. Carter is here with me, and she can certainly attest to the fact that it's been a through street from Tolman to Howe ever since they acquired the property, and obviously prior to Gloucester enacting approving the subdivision control law. Georgia Way is paved to a width of between 20 and 25 feet. It's certainly adequately constructed to meet the needs of anticipated vehicular traffic and otherwise satisfying the requirements of section 2.2.5, subsection 3 of the subdivision rules and regulations. One question that Greg put to me moments ago was the status of Lot 2. And I would respectfully suggest that the status of Lot 2 would be that it would be a non-conforming lot. Any change of use or improvements in the property would require further review by the zoning board and perhaps by the planning board, depending on the project. But it was a lot freestanding, separated by what's now known as Georgia Way at the time the subdivision control law was adopted. So that's the basis upon which this plan is being presented. And if you have any questions about the history of the property, Mrs. Carter, I'm sure, can do a better job explaining than I.
Thank you, Mr. Glusking. Eric, do you have any follow-up? Yeah, yes, Greg is here as well. Yeah, Greg, would you like to weigh in here?
Yeah, Mark, I was just curious, if I looked in the registry and couldn't find any prior plan that showed the layout of Georgia Way. So I'm just curious, there certainly may have been something that had been traveled from Tolman to Howe Ave. That's certainly evidence on some of the city assessors maps dating back to 75 and maybe even beyond that. But I'm just curious, how the surveyor was able to define the boundary for Georgia Way, other than, a couple of endpoints and maintaining a 25-foot right-of-way width. So I'm just curious if there was a plan that actually had it laid out. Clearly, it was probably not named Georgia Way because that was an action by the city council when they were renaming ways and access points for 911 purposes. But I just didn't know if there was an actual plan or deed reference that had the dimensioning of the way.
No, and there's not a requirement that a way in existence be shown on a plan. It's just a question of whether, in fact, it existed on the ground. And Georgia Way, with maybe a different name back then, did exist on the ground, and it was used for through traffic from Tolman to Howe, as I stated. I did submit a plan dated 1957 with the application that shows it as roadway coming down to the what was then the Nielsen property. Nielsen's were the predecessors in title to the Carters, and that way was in fact used. But as far as I know, there's no requirement under the subdivision control law that the way be depicted on a plan. That would be a different, that would provide different authority for approval of an A&R plan. And we're not basing this approval on a way shown on a plan. It's a way that was in existence. Does that answer the question?
So the bounds of it are more art than history at this point?
That's correct. And what he's trying to do is determine the proper location. It's been there. You can see that it actually goes over closer to the restaurant building, the actual traveled surface. But it's at that point that the way is about 25 feet wide. Right there, yeah. And essentially, that's the way in which A&R plans are put together to depict ways in existence that weren't shown on prior plans.
Got a question. So this plan was generated based on the deeds from those neighboring properties. Were those used? Get those?
Yeah. Yes, to some extent. The dimensions coming down from Tolman were based on a prior subdivision plan that the planning board approved. I have it in the file. I could find the date at which those two lots shown on the way that comes off Georgia Way were approved. But yes, he used as much information as he could glean from the registry records and what he could find on the ground.
Greg, I'm confused about why this wouldn't be a way. It's on the City of Gloucester's accepted street list. So why isn't it a way, potentially?
I don't doubt that it's a way. I'm just trying to understand. We're basically bounding something and creating lot area for lots arbitrarily. I mean, if it's the maintenance of something that's 20 feet wide, 25 feet wide, I understand. But I was just trying to see if there was any other history of showing a configuration.
I see. Okay. Well, while I'm on the topic of area, Mark, so I think you had said 50,000 square feet.
Yes, that includes the area of the way.
Oh, I
If
see.
if you look at the assessor's map that was included with the application,
Yeah.
Lot 1, Lot 2, and a good portion of the way are currently included in Lot 75 on map 216.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, though, I thought an A&R had to conform to both frontage and area requirements, and the lot two, I mean, sometimes we create A&Rs which are smaller than what the current zoning allows, but there's no building on it. So, I haven't seen an A&R creating a non-conforming lot with a building on it.
Well, our argument is that we're not creating this lot, that the lot actually existed, because ever since the Carters have owned the property, the way from Tolman came down to Howe, and this lot was separated from the property across the street. So the area of the way couldn't be included in the lot area calculation.
So you're saying it's a legal non-conforming lot already?
Yes. Precisely. And any change in that 12,500 foot lot would require probably zoning board approval at a minimum. Because to raise that building and build something new would be a modification of a non-conforming property, and making significant changes to that building would also require zoning board approval.
Now I'm really confused. If it's a lot in existence, why are we doing an A&R?
Because it's not depicted. It's shown on existing, the only existing plan is the assessor's map, essentially. And so what we're doing is depicting the lots that actually existed in 1961, or trying our best to do that.
So what about the T in the way? Was that again garnered from deeds, that 25 foot
No,
wide?
I have a plan that, that plan, well, the first plan I have is from 1950 and shows the two lots at Tolman. If you pull up the plan again.
I don't have that historical plan. This is the only plan that I have, and the assessor's map.
Oh, well. Lot A, no, two lots. Oh, here.
Mike.
The plan that created those two lots with the T was a plan that was prepared and recorded prior to subdivision control law in Gloucester. That's part of the issue here. And that's the plan that I filed with the application.
Greg,
Yes.
is this, in your opinion, definitely an A&R, or is this a ZBA issue?
Well, it falls in the category of very peculiar, which we seem to find more and
That
more.
makes it clear as mud. Thanks.
Exactly. More and more of coming in. I mean, I'm having again, based on what was submitted and what I was able to find at the registry, trying to look for some definition of the way. And that's something that's typically may not be shown on a plan, but it's clearly defined, as it's if it's falling into that category of prior to subdivision control law. More often than not, we've received applications that actually show some sort of layout of a way, and then the question is whether or not it had been used, and that's the other prong test is, has it been used for access? So it's a peculiar one. I'm having a hard time understanding, if it's depicted very clearly in Word of its width and its dimensioning, that's one thing. If it's not, I think we're kind of creating a right of way around an access. And to the standing of the structure, it seems like the minute you do that, that structure becomes a zoning violation and it should be raised.
Right. Is there a plan for that, Mark?
With all due respect to.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to just be difficult or challenging, Mark. This is obviously a very peculiar application.
I wouldn't want to bring something simple to the planning board.
You
It
never
would be
do.
fun at that.
There are many occasions when there are A&R plans based on ways that were in existence that weren't depicted on any plans or described by meets and bounds. So the question is, was that street between Tolman and Howe in existence in 1960 or 61? And was it used for vehicular traffic by the public? And I've been informed that it's been continuously used by the public for vehicular traffic. And I haven't seen anything that contradicts that.
Can we get an opinion, Greg, from Suzanne Egan as to whether this is an A&R? And then if she says yes, I'm totally on board. And if she says no, then it goes to wherever it needs to go.
We can certainly ask for an opinion.
What do my fellow board members think? I don't want to be hanging out here by myself, people.
So I would agree with our vice chair. I think the concern that I would have is, if this does turn into an A&R and you create two lots with a pre-existing building that doesn't conform, and as Jane pointed out, then it would seem to make sense that that building would be raised and, no longer could be used. Right. And I mean, so obviously we have the safety net of the ZBA if something was going to happen there. But I would err on the side of caution and get an opinion from our legal representation just to sort of put it through the ringer a little bit so we don't make a misstep here.
Happy to put it through the ringer, but
Yeah.
one other thing that could be done, since the concern seems to be with respect to Lot 2, is that there could be a note added to the plan that Lot 2 is a non-conforming lot, and any modification or change of use or improvements on the plan would necessitate zoning board approval.
I'm more worried about creating a non-conforming lot with a building on it that's an instant zoning violation. That's not any change of use or any change of building or anything like that, but creating the lot that's non-conforming. It's just, with my limited training doesn't seem like an A&R.
Well, I'd be happy to hear what the city solicitor has to say.
Right, so we'll, Steve, did you have a question?
Just want to say I support that. It sounds reasonable.
Okay. So, Greg, would it be appropriate to put this on the next agenda?
Yeah, I think you could make a motion to continue to the September 18th meeting.
Excuse me. I will be away on September 18th.
Okay.
So if we could do maybe the first meeting in October,
October 4th?
that would be great.
Okay. I'm
If we could also have you extend the time for the board to act to that date.
Wouldn't want you to be caught in a trap.
Correct.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
okay. So all we need is his agreement, right, Greg? And we're done with that part.
He's agreed to extend the time for the board to act to October 5th.
Okay, perfect. So I move that we continue the discussion regarding the A&R plan to divide property at 41 Howe Avenue to our scheduled meeting on October 4th, 2025.
Second.
22, I said 20, October 4th, 2025. Hold on. Anyone have a calendar?
I think it may actually be the 2nd. It's October 2nd.
It's October 2nd?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then to October 2nd, 2025.
We have a motion by Jane Ramsden, seconded by David Rosen. All in favor? Aye.
Yes, I.
Thank you
Alrighty.
for your time.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. Okay, next under our agenda this evening is subdivision of plans, and I regret to let everybody know in the audience, I appreciate your turning out, but I'll read this into the record and we can move forward. So in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, and rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land in Gloucester, the Gloucester Planning Board to consider 5-lot definitive subdivision plan filed by Seaside Legal Solutions entitled Road A at 598 and 600 Essex Ave, Assessors Map 237, lots 21 and 22. From the applicant, they've been asked to move this public hearing to open on October 4th, 2025.
And I'll just clarify, it's not the applicant. The abutters were notified. The notice in the paper put 2026 rather than 2025. And so to make sure that we are correcting the noticing requirement under Chapter 41, it will be renoticed in the paper in 2 successive weeks prior to the October 4th, 2025 meeting.
October 2nd, though.
All
we
right.
just decided.
Okay, now that that's why you said that, Jane, on the last one. Yes, it will be continued to the October 2nd.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. So I move that we continue the public hearing for 598-600 Essex Ave to our scheduled meeting on October 2nd, 2025.
Second.
So it's really, the public hearing hasn't been open. So it's
Sorry.
Correct.
Correct the motion to observe that we will have the public hearing on October 2nd, 2025.
You guys are getting a lot of good ones tonight, free. Okay, so do we need to vote that, Greg?
You do not. So it'll be on that date. We will probably put this on the agenda again, just to make it clear if anybody missed seeing this posting of the agenda, that it will open on October 2nd.
Fantastic. Okay, so second, under subdivision plans this evening, in accordance with the requirements of Mass General Law 40A, Section 9 and Section 11, zoning ordinance of the City of Gloucester, Section 1.5.5, 1.8.3, and 5.10, the Gloucester Planning Board to consider a special permit application for a watershed protection overlay district filed by Seaside Legal Solutions on behalf of Upper Banjo Pond LLC to permit a 25-unit residential development at 160 158R, and 154A Essex Ave, Assessors Map 218, lots 38, 39, and 46. So this falls under this similar posting error, and will be that public hearing will open on October 2nd of 2025. Absolutely. Yep. Be a regular public hearing on October 2nd. So don't come on the 4th because we won't be here. So again, thanks for coming out, folks. I'm sorry for the confusion. You can always check the city's website because these agendas are posted that way. And we'll take up those two on the 2nd. So next on other business, discussion of potential amendments to Gloucester zoning ordinance section 5.11, inclusionary housing requirements.
So as we left our discussion last time, we were trying to decide what the minimum threshold of unit number would be. And I went home and thought about it. And I thought that I think we should stick with the minimum level of 4 because we do have a couple of public hearings in front of us, both in front of the planning board and in front of the city council and in front of the, what are they called? P&D. And we can listen to public input and see what they think about it. And if we need to raise the threshold after getting some public input, we can. But I think it's harder if we start with a higher threshold, it would be similarly difficult to lower it once we'd heard from the public. So that would be my recommendation.
I support that, Jane.
Me too.
All right. Well, thank you, Jane, for that clarification.
So Greg, what's the next step with this? We vote to recommend it to, we vote to move it to the next step?
So just to be clear, in the board's folder, there was a draft that was dated, I believe, the dates are killing me. There is one that is reflective of today's date. There were a couple of minor things that formatting of the table and one other capitalization. So we have a draft. Go ahead, Jane. You're about to speak.
I underlined applicability. That hadn't been underlined.
Yes, and you underlined applicability.
Greg, do you want me to share this?
You could if you'd like. I'm just saying that I think we've incorporated all of the discussion from the subcommittee level, from the meeting at the last planning board where it was discussed 2 weeks ago. And so we have a draft that's consistent with that at this point, that has a threshold of 4 units, has a new schedule of in lieu payments and other changes that were made to it to just be consistent with language like the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. So the next step, if the board wants to initiate that as a zoning amendment, would be to make a motion under section 1.11 of the Gloucester zoning ordinance to initiate the proposed amendments to section 511 as described in the draft dated 9/4/2025.
I think it's 9/3.
Oh, there's
No,
one
it's
that's
today.
later.
There's today.
Okay, so let's see if I get this right. I move that under section 1.11 of the GZO, we initiate these proposed amendments to the 5.11 inclusionary housing requirement as we've described with the draft of, or as described in the draft of today, September 4th, 2025. Did I get it all?
That's a motion.
We have a motion by Jane Ramsden. I need a second, please.
Second.
Who said that? Steve? I need a second by Steve Yost. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That wraps up this meeting. Unless there's something that's not reasonably anticipated. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You got,
Second that.
Got a motion by David Rosen, seconded by Sean Henry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.